Hello and welcome, Exiles, to the second update to the Scion Energy Blade Spectral Throw character, attempting to become a Jedi, and today we have done very sizable improvements to what we were yesterday. Mainly, the biggest improvement I'd say is clusters, i.e., for example, there's a node called Martial Mastery on two-hand clusters. There's other nodes like Graceful Executioner. I didn't even realize how good some of the two-hand cluster notables are, but they're actually kind of insane. Like 20% attack speed, 20 flat strength, crazy good. 5% attack speed, 15 accuracy, crit chance, dex and int, very good. Obviously, right now, I don't have crit spec. I have precise technique still, but that's my next transition is farming out of Tekrod's gaze for crit. So that crit chance will be very useful later on when we start looking at going to crit. So anyways, we went through and we made 3 clusters here, here, and here. And what that allowed us to do is we essentially were able to drop the minion attack speed nodes. We just needed somewhere to get attack speed. And initially, before we had clusters, that's why we did the minion stuff. But now that we have clusters, we dropped those nodes, grabbed jewels with attack speed and life and strength where we could get it. As well as I dropped a bit of this extra regen. I decided, you know what, if I have a flask now with permanent regen, I probably don't need these 4 points over here. So cut down on some of the inefficient points we grabbed, and we made it a bit more efficient throughout the tree to get those cluster jewels. I think our damage went in between going from the stuff we had with clusters, with Ghost Wraith beforehand, what we had yesterday, tripled or quadrupled, or maybe even quintupled our damage from yesterday. It feels substantially better, I would say. On top of that, we also got a Lethal Pride. Unfortunately, right now there's not many on the market. I might end up start farming Lethal Prides myself, just because there's not many on the market and there needs to be somebody supplying them. But late game, we'd like to get a Lethal Pride that has like flat strength, percent life on these. Right now we have melee crit chance and melee damage, which doesn't help out the build. So that's something to look for later on. And then another thing I'm going to work for, and when we're talking about this crit swap, is a Transcendent Flesh here. And maybe if there was flat strength here, that pairs very well with Transcendent Flesh. But yeah, so anyway, strength on Lethal Pride, swapped in some clusters with attack speed. Mainly Martial Mastery was the keynote we were looking for, but other things like Feed the Fury, Fuel the Fight, Graceful Execution are all good. The way we crafted these is we used Guff in Transportation. I've been running Transportation for Gravicius anyways, but we started trying out Guff and Gravicius, and Guff allows you to basically put in a cluster that is a normal rarity, alch it, and then spam Chaos Orbs. Basically, if it's rank 3, you have 30 seconds to click up to 200 chaos. I have never gotten able to spam that many chaos in that amount of time. I'm just not fast enough. But basically, you're just click and you're just spamming and you're reading for Martial Mastery or one of the other key notables, or maybe if you hit a triple notable. And that's really cost efficient to do while you're farming Gravicius, which is just what I've been doing. You don't have to do it that way. Another way you can craft these clusters, again, I would recommend the cluster being ideally in between the item level of 50 to 67. And what that means is essentially you eliminate a lot of extra garbage mods you don't want. And then you could use a Shuddering, Pristine, plus Dense. And you have a very high likelihood to get Martial Mastery, plus Graceful Execution, a few other good notables. And that's the clusters we're probably going to work on crafting later today. I might start looking at buying Shudderings up, or maybe I'll even consider going to Delve. Ultimately, a lot of this stuff for Pox League, it's a miniature trade economy compared to the normal one, which means there's a lot of things you can buy on trade, but some stuff you're gonna have to SSF, and I like it's a nice little combination. For me, I'm gonna hunt around for specific upgrades that other people aren't looking for. Like Tekrod's Gaze isn't on the market. I think that's just because no one's playing Abyss, and we'll just lock in and we'll pump out some Abysses and start looking for Tekrod's Gaze. Another thing I should say is I've been slowly buying my way up the Artist. Either do something like this, purchasing the Artist, or buy yourself an Enlighten to level up as well. That's another thing I started doing, is I bought an Enlighten so I can start leveling up to try to corrupt, but it looks like I'm 1 card away from the Artist, so I'm just going to finish out this set. This thing is a huge ES upgrade, and that's one of the upgrades we're working towards. So that goes over most of the recent changes we've done. Now I want to showcase, I've been looking through Kirik, and I noticed I have a double corrupted map that does not have completion with Possessed Boss, minus max res, some gain is extra, and we'll showcase what the character looks like currently. One thing I will say about this character, Proj speed is not good for damage, but man, does it feel good. Every time I click a speed shrine, having the Spectral Throw be able to go like off screen and then come back feels really, really cool. And so I might end up choosing to have a setup where I run like 1 Proj speed cluster for like 30 or 40 Proj speed. I think you can get up to, I want to say 30 Proj speed you can get on a cluster. But the point is that would allow us to have way more, what's the word? Better improved clear speed, so to speak. and I think it'll just feel good. We'll see if I'm correct in that assumption, but that's just the thought process that I was thinking would be a way to improve the, we'll say, the fun of the character, so to speak. That boss we just fought, the same one that we'll fight at the end of this zone? That would be kind of funny if it was. That boss we just fought earlier, I think, was maybe the same guy that you find at the end of this map. The irony of finding one of the additional map bosses we got added to the zone happened to be the exact same thing as the actual map itself. Oh, another thing I'll say about this character is another change we did is I swapped to Grace with haste again, and this ended up feeling pretty decent, I would say, because we were at we didn't really have enough evasion scaling on the character before Shaper's Touch and before we made these more recent cluster upgrades. Now that we did this, Grace gets us to about 10k evasion, which is like almost 50-ish evade chance, which is starting to get to the point where it feels pretty worth to click Grace. Earlier on the character, it was getting us to like 30-ish evasion chance, which really I didn't feel like it was worth it enough to justify the loss of the good feeling of haste. And the upgrades we just made on our clusters gave a lot of attack speed, which helped pretty significantly for the overall feeling of the character and how it feels to play. Yeah, I think this is the same guy. I could be crazy, but I think this is straight up the same guy. I very well could be crazy. But anyways, that's what it looks like doing, I think this is a T16. Yeah, it's a T16. I think our character's going to feel fine for red maps at this current stage, and we're just going to upgrade it from here. Right now, it's not like easy, super, don't have to think at all type of red maps, but for minus max res, gain is extra. I don't feel like I'm particularly like stressed out right now in terms of like, oh, if I do this all wrong. Okay, this is the map I feel like it bugs out and just keeps releasing enemies. But anyways, we got the map boss completion, we got the kill. So yeah, anyways, making this update to just say next upgrades you want to go for, and they're really freaking worth it, is craft yourself some basic two-hand clusters, do a bit of a tree respec, get some better jewels, go for the Lethal Pride, and look at getting yourself into Ivory Tower and Shaper's Touch. And now it's just going to be Giga ramping with future upgrades. There's a lot of big upgrades we got to do, and I'm just excited to keep pushing the character. Hopefully we can get a little bit of prod speed on the character to make the Spectral throw just feel that much better to clear. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, Exiles. As always, take care and peace out. Have a good one.